Okay, so we are going to review the passive skill tree for this character, Tectonic Slam Berserker in 3.5. So let's take a look at the Ascendancy portion of the tree first. You definitely want to take Warbringer. The cooldown recovery speed is absolutely essential for increasing endurance charge generation from your war cries, from your enduring cry, which is what you need to mainly power the endurance charge fuel for your Tectonic Slam. Obviously the insta-heal, extra duration, all that is also really nice, and so as a result you get a permanent uptime on your enduring cry regen buff and your rallying cry damage and mana regen buff, as well as having an on-tap instant heal most of the time. More damage from Aspect of Carnage, pretty straightforward. 40% more damage is really nice. So then you have the choice of going either the Crave the Slaughter, Rite of Ruin path or Pain Reaver, Cloaked in Savagery path. I have tried both, and I ended up sticking with the Rite of Ruin path for the following reasons. So, Crave the Slaughter, it does make for quicker stacking of your rage, which is important when you switch instances in a delve, going to a Zana map, leaving map for trade, any of those reasons. And so a lot of times it is actually more than once per map that you need to generate up to max rage stacks, and so this really keeps you at maximum movement speed and damage output the entire time more consistently than if you go this route and simply rely on the rage generation that Warbringer gives you. As well, Rite of Ruin, stun immunity is great. Of course, you do go right by Unwavering Stance on the tree anyway, so it's not the biggest deal, but anyway, stun immunity without having to take Unwavering Stance is slightly better, so for whatever that's worth. But this does give you 50% more damage, I should say increased damage, and 25% increased attack speed as well as movement speed. This buff is essentially always active as long as your rage is maxed out, which is very easy to do with this build, and pretty much has 100% uptime in any situation where it's relevant. Unfortunately, if you go the Cloaked in Savagery route, the 50% increased damage and 25% increased attack speed that this provides, which, although it is the same as doubling your rage in terms of the extra damage, is not always on tap. You have not always taken a Savage hit in the last 4 seconds. So, as a result, I much prefer the more consistent damage output here. As well, 10% movement speed is really nice, especially for somebody like me who much prefers using simple movement for the primary means of mobility as opposed to a movement skill. If you go the other route, Pain Reaver is nice because it basically saves you these 4 points down here and allows more flexibility on the way that you route the tree. You could, without these 4 points, route up this way instead of down this way, go into the duelist starting area, get basically the same damage. I have run the numbers in POB, and it's pretty much the same here or through here, but you do get the extra life points and regen if you go all the way over to Master of Arena. So if you are going to choose hardcore, you could sacrifice that always on damage for the extra life that this provides, as well as not having to suffer the additional 5% degen that Rite of Ruin does impose upon your character. I find it really not to be an issue. I have enough regen that it basically nullifies it pretty much throughout the map, so I don't find it to be a big deal, but obviously hardcore is a different story if you were to try this build there. In terms of the rest of the tree, I do have about 190% life, picking up a lot of regen as well, so here, some other down at the bottom of the tree as well. Something like 8% regen or so on the passive tree, and so pretty beefy in terms of its life pool, this character. As well, there's some life from jewels. You also get endurance charges, so that is extra important in this build, of course, because they also fuel your Tectonic Slam in addition to providing survivability while they're up. So that's the main survivability that is on the tree. Damage, just really efficient one-hand nodes, sword nodes, dual-wield nodes, fire damage attack nodes, starting area stuff here, some AoE, and elemental overload. So just all the really efficient stuff that you pass by. And then as well, there's some extra utility in the form of reduced mana cost here and here, mana regen here, mana leech here. So all these things help to sustain your mana requirements, which are actually pretty high for this character. A single attack is 35 mana cost, and you get up to over 5 attacks per second when all your buffs are on. So he's pretty mana hungry. Finally, further augmenting the Warcry strategy. So instant casting, extra cooldown recovery between these and these, a little buff to attack, cast, and movement speed, duration, and then the no mana cost of the Warcries is also fantastic. So between those things, it really makes the integration of Warcries into the build a lot smoother. This is absolutely non-negotiable in my opinion, the instant Warcry. It's so good. As soon as you get this node, it just like really changes the way that the build feels and plays. So highly suggest you do not skip out on this, even though it is a significant point investment to get there.